Okay, these notes are for Monday, September the 20th. This is solving for a variable. And this is actually not a notes page. This is actually an assignment that we're doing in class. But what I did, instead of giving the kids a separate notes template, we just took part of the assignment and worked it together as the notes, and that way it would be helpful for them to understand. So I'm going to work the first 4 problems in the first column, number 1, 3, 5, and 7. Those are the problems that we worked today in class. So when you're solving for a variable, your directions up here tell you that we're going to solve for y. That basically just means that this y is staying right there. It's not moving, but all the other values in that equation need to move over to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to give myself a 1 right here in front of the y. So I've got negative 4x minus 1y equals 3. The first thing I would do is move the 4x by adding it. And I get negative 1y equals, now right here I can't actually add 3 plus 4x because they're not like terms. So instead I'm just going to write them down showing that they're being added together. 3 plus 4x. This is where some of the kids get confused, while we were doing notes today. Most of them did quite wonderfully, but it is a little bit confusing because they're used to getting real answers, and this one isn't really going to give them what they consider a real answer. So I'm still solving for y, which means I need to get the negative 1 off of the y, and that's going to be by division. So when I divide out, I get y equals, and 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3, and 4x divided by negative 1 is negative or minus 4x. So solving this equation for y, it would be y equals negative 3 minus 4x. This new value that we got is exactly the same as the one we started out with. They're equivalent to each other. I gave the kids an analogy today in class, like it's kind of like moving the furniture in your bedroom. If you take your bed off one wall and move it to another, if you move your dresser to this side or your TV stand to that side, it's still the same bedroom, it's still the same furniture, everything is just moved around. And that's exactly what we're doing here. The equations aren't different, it's just taking values and moving them around. And you're moving them mathematically, which means you do the opposite, and they should be very used to that because we've been solving equations since the very beginning of school. All right, number 3, solving for y. Again, we want to get this y all by itself. So I've got 9x plus 6y equals 12. The first thing I'll do is subtract the 9x. I'm doing subtract 9x because it's a positive 9x, so the opposite would be to subtract. I get 6y equals, and again, can't subtract those because they're not like terms, so I'm just going to write them down subtracted. 12 minus 9x. And then to get the 6 off of the y, I divide. Your division step always needs to be, the division or multiplication step needs to be the last step. You'll want to do adding and subtracting first. So those cancel, and I get y equals. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 9 over 6 actually reduces to 3 over 2, and then of course you have your x. So that is the new equation solved for y. Number 5. There we go. Number 5, I'm going to solve for y. Now this one looks a little bit different. This one has more to it than the other ones did. Notice the 12 is over on the left side with the other values, and then you have an equals 0. No big deal. We solve it just the same. However, in this one you have a little bit of liberty in deciding what you want to move first. If I was doing it, I would probably move the 3x first, minus 3x, and take it over with the 0. But a lot of the kids today in class said they would move the 12 first, so I think that's great. We're going to go ahead and move the 12 by making it minus 12. In these steps, doing the addition and subtraction steps, it really doesn't matter what order you do them in. You'll still get the right answer. It's just the division step that you have to save for last. So I end up with negative 3x minus 6y equals 0 minus 12 is negative 12. Now it looks more like the other problems that we had, and that's probably why they wanted to move the 12 first. So now I am going to move, we're still solving for y, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides. And I've got negative 6y equals, can't do the math there, you can't subtract 12 and 3x, so we're going to write it negative 12 plus 3x. And then I'll divide by negative 6 on every single step. I get y equals, here, negative 12 divided by negative 6 is 2. And then on this one, 3 divided by negative 6 will turn out a fraction. We just reduce it. It'll be minus 1/2, and then of course you have your x. And finally, number 7. This one's real similar to number 5, and most of the kids, I think we had them solve this one by themselves today in class, so we're going to solve it for y, just like we did the other ones. Probably would start out with the 3. Most of them prefer to do it that way, but you can start out with 4x. The answer will come out the same. So you've got 4x plus 7y equals 0 minus 3 is negative 3. We're going to move that 4x over. You end up with 7y equals, and that's math there. We can't subtract negative 3 minus 4x, so we just write it down, showing that it's being subtracted. We're finishing up by dividing everything by 7, and in this case, nothing is going to simplify. 3 divided by 7 will give us a decimal, and likewise 4 divided by 7 will give us a decimal, so we're leaving it in fraction form. Negative 3/7 minus 4/7 x. And that is solving for a variable.